This is a project I had my 8th grade English language arts students work on this week. It is a newspaper article in which I had to work on writing a newspaper article using the information we learned in Johnny Tremaine, since we're reading that text, and also how to find other sources and cite them properly. These are the Common Core writing standards I was working with for this project. So the first one is Standard 4, is produce clear and coherent writing in which the development, organization, and style are appropriate to task, purpose, and audience. And Standard 8, gather relevant information from multiple print and digital sources using search terms effectively. Assess the credibility of each source, and quote or paraphrase data and conclusions of others while avoiding plagiarism and following a standard form of citation. This is the rubric I used to grade my students, just to give you an overview of the picture of it. This is the top part of the rubric, and it lists when it's due, the student's name, the directions. It says, for this assignment, you are asked to write an article as if you worked for the Boston Observer, which is the newspaper in Johnny Tremaine. You will be reporting on the events of the Boston Tea Party. You will use the knowledge gained in class about how to write a newspaper article and MLA citations. To attach a works cited page which includes 4 sources, ideally Mr. Cook's notes, who is the social studies teacher, Johnny Tremaine, and 2 other outside sources. So this was a great project in terms of we collaborated with the history teacher to get some other background information, and also they used their book that they're reading and learned to do MLA citations. So it was a really cool project. And if we're going back to sort of the overall rubric again, on the left-hand side you can see the category in which they were graded in. The first one says newspaper format, headline, byline, location, lead, and supporting paragraph. So that's sort of the layout of a newspaper that they had to do appropriately. The next category is text ordered appropriately, meaning the most important information goes first and the least important goes last. And the last category is completed handed, meaning that they kept all of their drafts and graphic organizers and all of that so that they handed it in together to work on that whole organizational piece of middle school. So, if we're looking at the first category of the rubric, it says newspaper format, headline, byline, location, lead, and supporting paragraph, and this student did the appropriate format. There was a headline, you can see at the top, dumping them tea, a byline, which was the student's name, which is now covered by a post-it, and the newspaper they work for, a location, which it says Boston, Massachusetts, and then the lead paragraph, which has the who, what, when, where, why, and how in the first. And if we're going through that, sorry, this is blurry. Ooh, this is bad. Sorry. If we're going through that rubric, you can see that the student got an exemplary for that category, and it says the student perfectly applies all of the newspaper information learned in class, including the headline, byline, location, paragraphs. And if you say where I said score, it says 4, which means you got full credit. Great job. Perfect organization. The next category on the rubric said if the text is ordered correctly, and if we read through, you can see that in that first paragraph, which is the lead paragraph, talks about the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the made into supporting details, and they're not as important, so they come last. So that student did this correctly. And we'll use this page so it's not so blurry. If you're looking at the second category, the student got a 4. The student prioritizes all information in his or her news article by placing the most important facts first and the supporting information second, and I gave the student a 4. It says perfect on it. The next category on the rubric was a works cited page, and we had learned about this in class, and they took notes on it, and they had a whole PowerPoint, and unfortunately, this student did not do their works cited page correctly. Obviously, the book format is incorrect. There's extra words in there, and it wasn't appropriate. The internet sources, both of them were not cited correctly, so we had a little bit of problem there. I put X's, I tried to draw arrows to show them what they did wrong, and I did a sample of the correct book format so that the student could see how it should have been done. You can see that the student got a 3 for this category, so it says, student included a works cited page in the correct MLA format is almost correct. They did have some of the right information there, it just wasn't in the right order. And if we're looking sort of at the different categories and for developing, which is a 2, student included a works cited page, I felt as though the student did have some of the right information there. It wasn't perfect, but it was an attempt at doing it correctly, and they fell short of that, but there was evidence of MLA formatting, so I gave them a 3. And if we're looking at the score side, it says missing. The next category on the rubric was conventions, so spelling, grammar, punctuation, all that fun stuff. And just going through this, you can obviously see that there are some corrections I made. Should have spelled out 7 at night, or at least explain that further. We don't want that section's incorrect, and the there, which is the wrong usage of the there, so there are at least 4 mistakes that I caught off the bat. So we're going to go back and look at the rubric. Okay, and when we're looking at conventions, I think it's important to give a number so that students know kind of where they fall. Spelling, punctuation, mistakes. So they're less than 5, but it is not, if you're looking at the 4 category, this newspaper article is free from all grammar, spelling, punctuation mistakes. Certainly the student did not deserve a 4, and so they got a 3 for that. The next category and the final category on the rubric is making sure sort of that whole overall middle school philosophy of organization, that student holds on to their work, has the right pieces of their paper to hand in correctly. So obviously this is the final draft, so the student handed that in. This is the student's works cited page. This is the student's rough draft. And this is the student's graphic organizer. So if we go back and look at the rubric, additionally the students did have all the information that was required. The student included notes, rough draft, graphic organizer, and final draft, so they got a 4 for that. I then tally all of the points that they earned based off of the rubric, and I convert it into an out of 100 grade instead of the out of 20 grade, because most students can't really understand that layout. So the student got a 90, which was a really great job. So I put great job, only a few convention errors, and MLA formatting problems. And I hope you guys enjoyed learning about this.